Hello, my name is Cat and welcome to my guide to the 2022 summer event. In this video I will go through all you need to know about this event, including the mechanics, rewards, a bit on strategy, as well as how easy or not it is to get the main building, the Privateer's Boathouse, fully leveled for free. As usual, you can find timestamps in the description if you want to skip to a particular section, and if you want to see the written version of this guide, you will find that linked there as well. If you find this video helpful, please leave a like and a comment, as it really helps me out. And if you think your friends or guildmates might find it helpful as well, feel free to share it with them. Alright, with that out of the way, let me start and let me quickly go through the mechanics before I start talking about the rewards. So if you are already familiar with this event, it's basically the same as last year. Not a lot has changed, but if you're new, let's do a quick rundown of the event. So the currency for this event is the Doubloon, you can see in the top corner here. You get them the usual way through quests and milestones and so on. In total, at least on beta, you could get 135 doubloons. This might change when it comes to live, it might not. If it does, I will update this written guide. But anyway, for each doubloon, you can spin the wheel once. So the way you play this event is simply by spinning the wheel and getting rewards from this wheel here. So when you click this spin button here, you will spin the wheel, and wherever you land, you will get that reward. Now, one note here, after you have clicked spin, you can stop the wheel early, but that has no impact on which reward you get. The specific reward you get is determined immediately when you click the spin button. So when you press the stop, or if you press the stop at all, does not have an impact on what reward you get. Just want to get that out of the way. So if anyone says otherwise, that's not true. Anyways, you will notice that these rewards have 3 different colors. You have these green ones here, some silver ones, and one gold one. This usually indicates the value of the prize, and in general, the gold ones are better than the silver, which are better than the green ones. You will also notice that the rings around these rewards are split into segments. Each of these rewards can only be claimed a number of times before it is removed from the available options. So the green rewards can be claimed 4 times, the silver ones 2 times, and the gold one only 1 time. Now, if instead of the spin button, you click the refresh and spin button, you will first refresh all of the rewards. You will refresh the number, all of these number of times you can get each reward. So the wheel is completely refreshed, the rewards and the number of times you get these rewards, all of that refreshed. Then you spin, and then you get a brand new wheel to play on. Now here, just quickly, here is an example of what happens when all of the rewards of a given type has been claimed. So here, these 3 rewards on top here have all been claimed. So if I click spin now, I would only be able to get one of these rewards here that are still available. But more on that a little bit later. Now, one interesting thing about this event, and probably the most interesting thing about this event, is that this wheel here is actually shared with all your neighbors. That means that you and all your neighbors play on the same wheel, and you all fight for the same rewards. So when I claim a reward, that reward is now no longer available for your neighbors either. So if all of these trees here have been claimed, that option is no longer available either for you or any of your neighbors. And that's both a positive and a negative, but I'll talk more about that in the strategy section of this video. Anyways, when you spin the wheel, you will also get a compass, and these compasses can be used to sail the sailboat towards the next grand prize. This is a similar mechanic to the winter event, for example, where you light candles in order to get to the next grand prize. So each time you use a compass to sail, you move between 1 and 3 steps towards the next grand prize, so 2 steps on average. And when you get to the grand prize, which is 20 steps, you get the next grand prize as usual, and you start over again with extra steps carrying over. So yeah, nothing really to this, but basically that means that each doubloon can be used to spin the wheel once, so each doubloon gives you 1 compass towards the grand prize. But yeah, more on that in a moment when I talk about how easy it is to get the main building fully leveled. Alright, I think with that, let's move on to the rewards. And let's first of all talk about the main building, the Privateer's Boathouse. This is a 4x4 building, so actually quite small compared to most event buildings these days. It has 11 levels, and at max level it has two variations, the Buccaneer's Boathouse and the Deadman's Boathouse. Now, these give varying productions, both give some goods. The Buccaneer's Boathouse gives defense boost for your attacking army, while the Deadman's Boathouse gives attack boost for your attacking army. Now, both of these values are actually quite small, or relatively small. Even compared to the size, they're not actually that great. In terms of the Deadman's Boathouse, for example, it gives up to 17% attack boost, which is not that much for a 4x4 building. It's under 1 attack per tile if you include roads, so it's not really that good when it comes to the attack or defense values. The defense values usually tend to be a bit higher. But with that said, the buildings are quite small, so for most cities, I would place these. They're not that bad, the values are not that bad, but they're not that great either. Now with that said, both of these buildings have a brand new mechanic. They will give bounty chests. So for the Buccaneer's Boathouse, you get a Buccaneer's bounty, and the Deadman's Boathouse, you get a Deadman's bounty. Now what these are chests that go directly to your inventory that you can open when you want. So these chests will go to your inventory, 1 per day when you collect the building, and then you can choose when you want to open them. And that's interesting, particularly because of the forge points. So instead of the main building giving forge points directly to the forge point bar, the forge points are actually given in the form of these bounty chests. So directly to your inventory, you will get either 8 or 6 forge points, depending on which variation you choose. And you will also get 3 other rewards when you open these chests. So the Buccaneer's bounty, in addition to forge points, will give a fragment of a 1-up kit, a fragment of a 30% defense boost, and 1 blueprint. The Deadman's bounty will instead give a large supply package, which is basically just supplies. It will give 1 fragment of 2-hour mass supply rush kit, which is quite nice, and 25 guild treasury. So I find this really interesting. Of course, you can't use these forge points directly when you are contributing to a great building, for example, like the other forge point packs, but it is still forge points directly to your inventory, which is quite a nice, interesting idea. And because of a recent addition, you can open multiples of these chests at the same time, but you do still have to manually open them, and you can only open them until you get 100 forge points in your bar. But in any case, I think these buildings are alright, not amazing, but quite good still. Now in terms of which ones I would recommend, or which version I would recommend, personally I prefer the Deadman's Boathouse. I prefer attack boost to defense boost for attacking army. You do lose 2 forge points and 2 goods, but that's not a big deal to me. I much prefer particularly these 2 rewards compared to these 3 here. So guild treasury goods, that's quite nice. But yeah, particularly the fragment of a mass supply rush kit, I find that quite interesting, quite nice to have, especially for or to make events quicker. So yeah, my recommendation would probably be the Deadman's Boathouse. But if you need defense instead, nothing wrong with the Buccaneer's Boathouse. All right. Now, as I said, grand prizes, you get them as usual. And yeah, as usual, you also have these event pass prizes as well. Now, in terms of the grand prizes, if you want to see a list of what you can get, you can find them here as they appear on beta. You can also see in-game the further prizes, what they give. But yeah, as usual, you get an upgrade kit every other grand prize. You get 3 upgrades or 3 levels from the milestones, which will be important later on. Now, we also have another new building this event, the Forge Fountain. This one is exclusive to the event pass. You can see it up here. The first one is this brand new Forge Fountain building. And another interesting thing about this building is that it is the first one of a new type of building called limited buildings. Now, just because it's new doesn't mean that it is necessarily good. So the idea behind these limited buildings is that they only give their bonus or reward for a given number of days or collections and so on. So for this particular one, you get a 10% forge point boost, but it only lasts for 5 days. So after 5 days, you lose this forge point boost and the building turns into a regular decoration, giving 250 happiness. So after the 5 days, it's quite useless. It's 2x2 by the way, so quite small building. So in theory, that sounds really cool with a forge point boost. That's something we haven't seen before. But because of the way this is implemented, it's not actually that good. So first of all, it does not work on great buildings, which is a shame. If you think about a high-leveled building that gives a lot of forge points, could be cool. It does also not work on the town hall, which is not that big of a deal. But the main downside is that it will only boost buildings that produce 5 or more forge points. The way this is implemented is that it boosts the forge point production by 10%, but then it rounds this value to the nearest whole number. So for example, if a building produces 3 forge points, that is boosted to 3.3 forge points, but because of this rounding, that is rounded down to 3 forge points. So basically, this only works for building that gives 5 or more forge points. So because of that limitation, because it doesn't work in great buildings, and because it only lasts for 5 days, I'm not really a big fan of this building. I think it's quite poor actually, but it's alright. And especially if you want some of the other buildings you can get from the event pass, it might be nice to build it for a couple of days and then sell it. Now, speaking of the other buildings you can get from the event pass, so the other buildings on the top row here, you need to pay 1200 diamonds, a one-time payment. But then, as you get grand prizes, you can also claim these rewards on top here. From those, for free, you will be able to get all of these buildings with a free number of doubloons. So from those, you will also get a wishing well and a wishing well shrink kit. So one small wishing well. You will get a checkmate square, and you will get a sentinel outpost, both upgrade and a level 1 building, so level 2 sentinel as well, and also a sunken treasure. So for all of those buildings, 1200 diamonds might be a bit better. I think it's quite a good value in my opinion. I probably will not go for it myself, but you can definitely go for it. And if you are already going for it, you might as well build the forge fountain for a couple of days before you delete it. Anyways, moving on to the Wheel of Fortune prizes. So as I mentioned, the way you get prizes this event is through the wheel. There are not any daily specials, but you will still be able to get a couple of previous event buildings from the wheel. So here on my written guide, I have compiled a list of a few select ones that I think are the best. I have also prepared this link here to my new sortable table that you might have seen in some of my recent videos. In that table, I have sorted by all the event buildings or reward buildings you can get from the wheel, including also the Deadman's Boat or the 2 boathouses. But yeah, in this list you can see all of them, and you can sort them by whatever value you are interested in to see which might be the best option for you. So this is one way you can do that. You will find this linked in the description. Here's a short link for it. It's also linked on the site here. But yeah, I've also compiled a few options here on the written guide. So first of all, the Governor's Villa is probably an option a lot of people will want to go for. Of the attack buildings in this event, it is the one that gives the most attack per tile. It also gives a decent amount of raw attack and attack per daily special, especially in higher ages. And also it produces units, which is quite nice. So this is probably going to be the most contested main building, or a reward building in the wheel, but it's definitely a good one. Then you have the Pirate's Hideout, also a good building. It also gives a decent amount of attack, not as much as the Governor's Villa, but still alright. This one doesn't give units, but it does give more force points and goods, so it might be a good option there. And now the Pirate's Hideout, you can also chain some chain buildings to it, and all 3 chain buildings are available in this event. So for attack, or particularly defense for your attacking army, the Captain's Anchorage is a good option. It doesn't give that much per tile, but it does give a lot per daily special, 8% defense boost per one of these, and you chain those below the main building in Pirate's Hideout. So that's a good building to go for as well. Of course, you have the Sentinel Outpost, level 1 and upgrade kits, good as usual. And another interesting option is the Pirate Guard Post, which you can get from the Guard Post selection kit. This one is actually available as a silver price. So all of these ones are a gold price, but this one is a silver price. So you might get lucky and get this in addition to one of the other ones, and you might have a chance to get both at the same time. But yeah, this one gives between 1 and 2% attack depending on your age. Don't remember exactly where it goes from 1 to 2, but it's somewhere in the middle, so perhaps around modern era, post-modern eras, around there I think, you can check yourself. But yeah, in the higher ages at least, it gives 2 attack, it is only 2 tiles, you don't need any roads, so it's quite nice, 1 attack per tile, and you can place it quite easily in your city. Anyways, when it comes to forge points or goods, or different productions, it's much of the same. The Pirate's Hideout gives a lot of goods and forge points, so that's probably your best option there. Another interesting option is the Crow's Nest. It gives slightly less forge points and goods compared to this one, but it does have a chance of giving you diamonds, which some might find appealing. It gives on average 1.25 diamonds per day, which is not that much, but it's an alright number, so I suppose you could get this if you want to. Then you have the Fisherman's Pier. This one gives 4 forge points when chained to the Pirate's Hideout, which is 0.4 per tile, which is quite alright, and especially if you have a blue galaxy, a big chain with these connected to a Pirate's Hideout will give you a lot of forge points. So quite a good option there. You also have the goods variation of that, the Shark Shallows. It's not that as good, I think, as the Fisherman's Pier, but it's an option if you want to. Then also the Governor's Villa. It's not that bad, especially when it comes to goods. It's actually the one that gives the most goods per tile. So yeah, these are some options if you're looking for forge points or goods instead. In terms of situational buildings, not really that many, but you do have some of the different kits that you might want to go for, so you can go with those if you want to. All right. Now, moving on to strategies. First of all, as usual, I have my quest cheat list. This is simply a list of some of the quests that you might need to prepare for. So if you want to, you can go through these and check which ones you might find challenging. You can find a link. Oh, I don't think I have a link actually. I will add a link here. Oh, there we go. Here's a link to the full page, full list on the wiki, so you can have a look at that as well. All right, let's move on to strategies. And oh, actually, I forgot to mention one thing when it comes to mechanics. We do have one new mechanic, and that is the Piggy Bank. You'll notice that some of these have a Piggy Bank symbol. And if you land on one of these prizes, in addition to getting the prize in the circle here, you will also get a Piggy Bank reward. Now, the Piggy Bank might be familiar. It is probably familiar. It's basically the same as the reindeer sleigh from the winter event. So you get some rewards here, but in order to claim those, you need to spend diamonds. You need to spend 3,000 diamonds to claim these rewards. No matter if you have 1 reward here or 8, it costs 3,000 to claim all of these rewards. Now, usually I don't find these worth it, but if you do plan on buying these, you should wait until you have filled up all 8 before you spend the 3,000 diamonds to claim them. So yeah, this is basically the same as the reindeer sleigh. I don't think it's worth it. Alright, let's move on to event strategies. Now, if you don't really care about the wheel prices, you don't really have to think about when you and how you play. Simply spend the doubloons, spin the wheel whenever you want to. In terms of the grand prizes, it makes no difference when you play, how you play. So for the grand prizes, all that matters is that you spend all your doubloon. So again, if you don't care about the wheel prices, simply play whenever you want. Spend all on the last day, for example. It doesn't matter. Now, if you want to get rewards from the wheel, however, then you do need to play strategically. And the main point here is that because you share the wheel with your neighbors, the basic strategy is to let your neighbors whittle down on the rewards, get rid of the poor rewards while leaving the good rewards for you. So in this example, not really that good of an example because the good reward has already been claimed, but assuming the golden reward hadn't been claimed, that would mean that these two spots here had already been taken, meaning that if you spin now, you have a higher chance of landing on the gold prize. So here it's a game of patience, a bit of luck, and also judgment on your part on when you want to jump in, when you want to try to get the reward for yourself. Ideally, you would want your neighbors to take all the poor rewards, leaving only the good one for you. But in reality, that won't be the case. So you have to judge for yourself when you want to jump in and try for yourself. So if you have a lot of time to check in on the wheel regularly, you can try to do this, I don't know, when there are, for example, 4 options remaining, for example. That might be a good option for you. But if you can't check in often, then you might just have to play whenever you see a somewhat a good opportunity. So yeah, it basically comes down to how often you can check the wheel, also how active your neighbors are, and how often you find a situation where they have claimed multiples of the poor rewards, removed those as an opportunity, leaving you with a higher chance of getting the golden prize. But you can probably imagine that if you are thinking this, your neighbors are probably thinking it as well. So don't be surprised if you end up fighting for the same reward. And at that point, it's simply luck on who you get it first. So yeah, now if you want to be kind of a dick, and in some situations you probably do want to be that. So say you see one of your enemies trying to get a good reward, you could always try to refresh the wheel. I'm sure that player will love you for that. I'm sure you won't get any angry messages or anything like that. So I don't know, I'm just saying, I'm not condoning it, but it's not against the rules. So if you feel like it, try refreshing the wheel. Why not? Anyways, I think that's it for strategies. Basically, try to play, try to play when you have a high chance of getting the gold prize, or the prize you want. All right, so can you get the Boathouse fully leveled for free? The quick answer is, with the surprise box, most likely yes, but without the surprise box, most likely no. So as I mentioned, you move 1, 2, or 3 steps. That means that there is an element of luck, not too big of an element, but there is an element of luck still. Now you can get 135 doubloons for free, at least that's how many we got on beta. Again, if that has been changed, I will update this when we learn about that. But anyways, you get 135 for free, and according to people on beta, the incident drop rates were very poor. So for my analysis, I have used 140 doubloons as the number. That assumes only 5 doubloons from incidents, but judging by the beta comments, that seems to be a good estimate. So with those, on average, you move 2 steps per doubloon, meaning you will move 280 steps on average. Now, to get the main building fully level, you need 260 steps if you have the surprise box, or 300 if you don't have the surprise box. That means that on average, at least, with 140 doubloons, you will get it if you have the surprise box, but you will not if you don't have the surprise box. Now, things are not always average. There is an element of luck. So what I've done is that I have made a simulator. I will go over that in a moment, which basically simulates the event with a given number of doubloons, showing how many steps progress you have, or how many leagues, as they might also be called, towards the grand prize. So here I have 2 lines here a green and a red line. So this green line is how many steps you need if you have the surprise box. The red line is how many steps you need if you don't have the event surprise box. So here we can see that with 140 doubloons, most people are above the green line. So if you have the surprise box, you will most likely end up with enough levels. 98.4% chance according to my simulation of getting the main building fully leveled. But on the flip side, if you don't have the surprise box, only a small portion of the players will be able to get it. Around 2% of players should be able to get it if they don't have the surprise box, if they end up with 140 doubloons. So basically, that leads me to this TLDR. If you have the surprise box, most likely yes. If you don't, most likely no. Now, if you want to play around with this simulator yourself, you can find it down here. So here you can enter how many doubloons you have. So I was playing around with it a little bit before. So 140 is the base. But if you, I'll go over to in a moment, but you can buy 20 doubloons for 1,750 diamonds. If you do that, here is an updated graph with those numbers. And here you can see that for those, buying those 20 diamonds will pretty much mean that all people will get the main building fully leveled, almost a 98% chance, even if you don't have the event surprise box. So basically what I'm saying is that if you don't have the event surprise box, it will probably cost you 1,750 diamonds. 1,750 diamonds. There we go. So yeah, if you don't have the surprise box, that's probably what it will cost you to get the main building fully leveled. But here you can play around with this if you want. Say that instead of getting 5 doubloons from incidents, you get 10, for example. You can update this here, you press run, and then it will run through the event and simulate it and you'll get updated graphs. So based on this, you have pretty much guaranteed to get it if you have the surprise box, with somewhat of a chance of getting it if you don't have the event surprise box. Still quite small, but 17%, it's better than nothing, I suppose. So yeah, you can play around with this if you want to. All right, now one final thing I think before I end. How many diamonds does it cost per additional privateer's boathouse? Basically, you need 11 levels. To get that, you need 22 grand prizes. Each grand prize is 20 steps, meaning you need 440 steps. Each doubloon is 2 steps on average, so you need 220 doubloons. 20 doubloons costs 1,750 diamonds, so you need roughly 19,000 diamonds for each additional fully leveled boathouse. Now that said, the Piggy Bank that I mentioned does actually have an opportunity of giving you a kit for the boathouse. I don't know the drop rate, but if you get 2 or more kits in the Piggy Bank, then it will actually be cheaper to buy the Piggy Bank reward than getting more doubloons. Of course, when you get doubloons, you do also get chances of getting the gold rewards, and some of those might be better than the Piggy Bank, but I would say that if you have 2 or more upgrades for the boathouse in the Piggy Bank, it is probably worth it to buy those instead of spending diamonds on more tokens, more doubloons for another level. But yeah, I will leave that up to you. All right, I think that's it for me. I've gone on long enough. So before I end this video, let me thank my Patreons for their support. I would like to thank Homestar, Fort Prefect, Lorden, Rock and Robin, Kim Kelly, Joshua Clark, Rolf the 8th, PQ the Goat, Dan Suminad, Eric Blee, Arkler, Hugo Kant von Count, Björn Fredriksen, Jutta Janves, Filda, Rush, Susan Weiss, Megarock, Rocco, Henrik Dorikleber, Mattia, Obsidy Obsessed, Raph, Kim, XD, Adarel, Mike, Mindsy, and Wolfboy. Thanks a lot for your support. Thanks for watching, take care, and I will see you in the future.